Codenamed Operation Aphrodite, it would push the technological boundaries of radio control to new limits. Operation Aphrodite involved both the U.S. Army and Navy Air Forces. It was considered so dangerous they asked for pilots to volunteer. One who did was Ken Waters.
They needed volunteers for a special mission, but if you did it, you'd get credit for 5 missions and get the DFC, the Distinguished Flying Cross.
The plan was to turn an entire war-weary plane into a flying kamikaze bomb. The aircraft would be packed with 9 tons of explosives. 2 daredevil pilots would then fly the plane to 10,000 feet. They would arm the bomb and bail out, leaving a mother aircraft nearby to steer the bomb plane by radio control.
To take an aircraft off like that that's rigged to blow up, you have to be a special person.
Flight control was handed over to a bombardier in the mother aircraft. He would guide the explosive-packed plane to its target.
You had to control the throttles, you had to control the climb and the dive of the aircraft, so there had to be a lot of very innovative ways to control that airplane with radio control.
The pilotless plane, known as the drone, trailed smoke to help the bombardier and the mother aircraft keep track of it. 2 television cameras transmitted pictures of the instrument panel and the view from the flying bomb's cockpit back to the mother ship to help the bombardier's aim. The bomb and the mother plane between them were a whole technological revolution. Even those who flew them found it hard to understand.
I think I maybe had heard about television, but this was the first television I ever saw in my life.
This is supposed to be a little documentary on, what took place on Flight 11 before it hit the number 11, aka the Twin Towers. It's supposed to be a little documentary on it, and this right here is at the point where they reenact the call from Miss Betty Young to the command center, where the flight took off from Boston. It's supposed to be going to LA, but we already know what took place. But there is more than meets the eye when it comes to the nefarious aspect of this situation. And we already understand these people, they love to profit off of death. But when it comes to these flights and the hijackers, I believe it's more than meets the eye. The number 19 is too convenient, as well as all these things that meet in regards to the evidence, in regards to certain revelations about these things over the course of 24 years, so on and so forth. You know what I mean? These people, they were sacrifices. They were sacrifices for the overall plan to pretty much reshape America when it comes to this big catastrophe that took place. And, it's weird because in Flight 93, there's a movie that pretty much reenacts what supposedly took place in Flight 93. And it's weird because the same thing happened on both flights, where they took over the flights, supposedly took over the flight, the pilot, they hijacked, and the Muslims or the Islamic people, when they were in the seat, the pilot's seat, they both made the same mistake of calling into the command center instead of calling, into the attendees, as far as the people that's on the plane. It was just really weird that both, pilots did the same thing. It's like, was that a coincidence, or was it more than meets the eye when it comes to that? Like, was that the story? And also the fact that they both said, "Hey, we're gonna go to the airport." Like that's the cover. Even though the flights did what they did. So it's just a lot of holes and a lot of just weird stuff that I just find suspicious. You know what I mean?
Initially, she'll be plagued by what seems to be a poor connection and a series of misunderstandings.
I'm number 3 in the back. The cockpit's not answering.
Captain business class. And I think there's mates that we can't breathe. I don't know. I think we're getting hijacked.
The assault was over so quickly that no one is absolutely sure what has happened inside the cockpit.
Yes. What seat are you in? Ma'am, what seat are you in?
We just left
Boston. We're up in the air. We're supposed to go to LA, and the cockpit's not answering their phone. Okay, but what seat are you sitting in? What's the number of your seat? Okay, I'm in my jump seat right now. Okay. At 3R. Okay, you're the flight attendant? I'm sorry, did you say you're the flight attendant? Hello? Yes, hello? What is your name? You're going to have to speak up. I can't hear you. Sure. What is your name? Okay, my name is Betty Ong. I'm number 3 on flight 11. Okay. And the cockpit is not answering their phone. And there's somebody staffed in business class, and we can't breathe in business class. Somebody's got mace or something. Can you describe the person that you said someone is what in business class?
I'm sitting in the back. Somebody's coming back from business. If you can hold on a second.
Throughout her calls to the ground, Betty is interrupted by other attendants who seem to be acting as a relay team, sending constant updates from further forward.
Bobby both got stabbed.
Amy Sweeney makes one more attempt to contact the cockpit. Ten minutes after storming the plane, the hijackers decide it's time to talk to the passengers. But the wrong switch is keyed, and their announcement is broadcast to the ground.
American 11, Boston.
You see, this same thing happened on Flight 93 where their announcement was miskeyed. It's kind of interesting that both flights had announcements miskeyed where the quote-unquote hijackers were supposed to be talking to the boarders on the plane, but they accidentally was talking to the command center. What's the odds? And also, what's the odds that they find a fucking passport? Come on. Come on. There's more than meets the eye when it comes to this. And also, the woman, she says she's in Flight 11 and Seat 3. We already know that represents the number 33. So what was this really? I'm not saying that nobody died. Obviously, people died. But what was this really? How convenient, the numerology. How convenient that you have these two quote-unquote hijackers miskey and calling the command center where they say the same thing. Oh, we're going back to the airport. Come on.
United 175 Boston Center, Roger. Is that American 11 trying to call? We have some planes.
Just stay quiet and you'll be okay. You are turning to the airport.
Initially, the controllers don't hear the phrase, "We have some planes."
And who's trying to call me here? American 11, are you trying to call?
They immediately ask for a playback of audio tape.
Nobody move.
Everything will be okay. If you try to make any move, you'll injure yourself and the airplane. Just stay quiet.
We gotta make some calls. I'm on it.
Boston controllers notify their chain of command that they believe Flight 11 has been hijacked. There are no reports of anyone on the plane hearing the hijackers' transmission. Amy Sweeney heads towards one of the backseat airphones. These require credit cards, and it's possible that she borrows a card from a nearby passenger. There is no record of a charge to Amy's or Betty's credit card accounts.
Passengers were 10, 19, G.
Hello, American Airlines Flight Services, Logan Airport.
It's Amy Sweeney.
So I was just in my office working. I had heard one of the ladies who was working in the office say very loudly, what? A flight attendant has been stabbed?
Hello, American Airlines Flight Services, Logan.
It's Amy Sweeney. Listen and listen very carefully.
I'm on Flight 11. The airplane has been hijacked. I have seat numbers.
At that point, I took the phone and said, Amy, this is Michael Woodward. What's going on?
Hey, Michael, this plane is being hijacked.
After she told me that the aircraft had been hijacked, she started to give me information.
I have seat numbers for 3 of the hijackers.
She had given me the seat numbers that they were seated in.
9D, 9G, and 10B.
And as I was writing down the seat numbers, my colleagues pulled up that information. In the computer system, they could pull up who's sitting in that seat. And up came Mohammed Atta's reservation.
Good weather today. By now, United Airlines Flight 175 is airborne. The 5 hijackers on board have yet to make their move. On Flight 11, Betty Ong reveals that despite the risks, cabin crew members have made at least one attempt to gain physical entry to the cockpit.
I think the guys are up there.
They might have gone their way up there or something. Nobody can call the cockpit. We can't even get inside.
Betty and Amy Sweeney now work closely together to report the details of the hijack to the ground.
Amy and Betty were trying to relay information, and so as I was talking to her, she would, ask Betty, did you see this? Or, so they were kind of working in tandem to get the information out.
It's now clear that while the hijackers are in control of the cockpit, the flight attendants are in full control of the passenger cabins.
I think the thing that you might have been most impressed with was their calmness, that they were relaying information as quickly and as thoroughly as possible. I know as a crew member for American Airlines that they were following procedures to ensure a safe landing and the safety of all the passengers on board.
It's just a medical emergency, ma'am. And
until September the 11th, 2001, cabin crews were trained in the event of a hijacking to maintain calm among the passengers.
So everything's going to be just fine.
The flight attendants use a cover story that this is all just a medical emergency. It's possible that the passengers evacuated from First and Business who witnessed the attack go along with this in order to prevent the spread of panic.
I don't know.
Amy Sweeney tells Michael Woodward that the cabin crew's efforts seem to be working.
Wait.
What she did say, though, was that everybody in the coach cabin was very calm. They had no idea, the folks in coach, that the aircraft was being hijacked by these people.
All right.
In the background, there wasn't screaming, there wasn't, it was very calm. Calm meaning there wasn't a commotion, there wasn't noise. I mean, obviously, she was concerned.
Until now, Flight 11 has been drifting on a northwesterly path, but the hijackers now execute a dangerously sharp 100-degree left turn. The plane is now heading south, erratically following the course of the Hudson River, which leads straight to New York City.
We're going back to the airport. Don't try to make any stupid moves.
What the hell was that? The transmission is picked up not just by air traffic controllers, but by United 175, which will be hijacked in 6 minutes. Having done a second pregnancy test, Patricia Massari calls her husband with the news that it's positive. She's excited,
Hi.
but also a little nervous.
Yeah, I did.
She always called when I was home on my day off to let me know that she was at work. So, around 8:40, the first words out of her mouth was her usual self, which I kind of felt better about. She was questioning me, what are we going to do about this? Because she wanted to make sure that this is real, because she didn't believe it. It's just overwhelming, you know, to her and overwhelming to me.
We're making another sharp turn, all the way onto our side.
Flight 11 has made another dangerous course change, possibly as a result of the hijackers' inexperience as pilots. Boston air traffic controllers radio United 175 to ask if they see Flight 11.
You have traffic. Look at your 12 to 1 o'clock at about 10 miles southbound to see if you can see an American 767 out there, please.
I see him. Affirmative, we have him. He's at about 20, 29, 28,000.
United 175, turn 30 degrees to the right. I want to keep you away from this traffic.
Boston controllers now break official protocol and try to make direct calls to the military.
Hi, Boston Center, Team U. We have a problem here. We have a hijacked aircraft headed towards New York, and we need you guys we need someone to scramble some F-16s or something up there to help us out.
Is this real world or exercise?
No, this is not an exercise, manifest.
It will be another 9 minutes before fighters are scrambled. On this cloudless morning, the Twin Towers will now be clearly in sight. Betty Ong and Amy Sweeney both report to the ground that the aircraft is being thrown around violently. The hijackers execute yet another terrifying maneuver, a steep and barely controlled dive.
Michael, we're making a rapid descent.
She was now starting to get scared. For flight attendants to use those terms, rapid, it means it's quick, it's fast, something's going on. You know, they're used to, you know, tons of turbulence and, you know, bumpy flights and all of that, but she was really, really nervous at this point.
United 256, altimeter 29 and 92.
Flight 11 has just passed into the airspace of New York traffic controllers. United 175 now reports the mysterious radio transmission it picked up earlier.
New York, United 175 Heavy.
United 175, go ahead.
We figured we'd wait to go to your center. We heard a suspicious transmission on our departure out of Boston. Someone keyed the mic and said, everyone stay in your seats.
Okay, I'll pass that along.
It cut out.
Kingston 93 line. United 175 just came on my frequency, and he said he heard a suspicious transmission when they were leaving Boston. Everybody stay in your seats. That's what he heard as a suspicious transmission, just to let you know.
This is the last voice transmission from United 175. The controller's attention, however, is firmly fixed on the hijacked Flight 11.
Center, where do you place him in relation to 583 now?
He's off about 9 o'clock at about 20 miles. Looks like he's heading southbound, but there's no transponder, no nothing, and no one's talking to him.
In Manhattan, the rush hour is reaching its peak. Over 1 million commuter cars are heading over the bridges and through the tunnels into an island just 13 miles long.
If you see the enemy as strong, remember the groups that had formed a coalition to fight the Prophet. They were 10,000. But remember how God gave victory to his faithful servants.
Flight 11 is now heading south over Manhattan itself. The aircraft's airspeed has increased dramatically since the dive.
When the 0 hour approaches, wholeheartedly welcome death. For the sake of God, always be remembering God. Either end your life while praying seconds before the target, or make your last words, there is no God but God. Muhammad is his messenger.
Now, it's interesting that he says the 0 point is death, we know about ground zero. Ground zero represent the aspect of the Negredo phase, the death phase, and then it's reborn into the white phase. From the red, there was bloodshed. And that's what took place when it comes to the ritual of 9/11. And also, this, occurred at 8:46 a.m. 8 plus 4 plus 6 is 18. 1 plus 8 is 9. 6 plus 6 plus 6 is also 18. So the numerological event was significant. And when it comes to the flight attendants, as far as, the women, it's just crazy how much they held their composure. But I believe it was more than me style when it comes to the hijacking. Because you can control commercial aircrafts just when it comes to, certain aspects of the technology. And that was technology that was covert, but it was used in this operation. It goes back to Operation Aphrodite. We're going to get more into that. And when it pans to this woman, it's for a reason. Where you see a plane coming to this woman and, excuse me, you see a plane coming to this woman and there's a reason why it pans to what it pans to. So let's just get into it.
We will all meet in the highest heaven. Inshallah.
What's happening?
All of a sudden, she said, what's going on? What's happening? And I don't know if she was talking to Betty or if she was just verbalizing it.
The airplane is all over the place.
I asked her, can you look out the window? This was right near the end of our conversation. She said, I see water, I see, we're flying low, we're flying way too low. I see buildings, I see lots of buildings.
I see the water. I see the buildings. I see buildings. We're low. We're far too low.
So, what do we do now? I don't know. I guess we'll just start to
You see, the producers of these little documentaries, they know what the underlying conveyance is. They know what the esoteric communication is. This is why, they pan to her left eye, or the left eye was more so emphasized with the incoming plane crashing into her in the building. The producers understand what that represented. And it's of my belief that those planes were remotely hijacked. Just when it comes to the understanding, going back to Operation Aphrodite, where you have these obsolete bomber aircrafts, back in World War II, the Allies would target certain aspects of Germany which were hard to destroy. So they would use these bomber aircrafts with highly, highly, highly energetic explosives. And, all the torpedoes would pretty much be used effectively for certain targets. And when it comes to certain pilots that were in the aircrafts, they were pretty much hijacked by the remote controlled system. And that's what it was when it comes to the operation that was at hand. And it was based in Aphrodite because of the mothership, as well as the understanding of the aircraft and the connection to beauty. It's weird, but that's what it represented in regards to the underlying conveyance, because Aphrodite represents beauty. And the wings on the aircraft represent the aspect of the mother. Just when it comes to, the flying aspect of the mother, where you go into the understanding of the fly goddess, so on and so forth. Going into Hathor, so on and so forth. So Operation Aphrodite was just something that was alluded to just when it comes to what you saw in that documentary regarding, the highlight of the women and so on and so forth, because that's what it was based in. Just when it comes to the esoteric conveyance, as far as the catastrophe with the plane crash. I believe it was remote control, and there's so much evidence to prove that. We're going to get more into it in regards to the whistleblowers, you know, the autopilot whistleblowers of 9/11. They have a lot of insight and they provide a lot of understanding. It's just weird that certain things weren't in the 9/11 Commission report, just when it comes to evidence that, you know, it was explosives, as well as the remote control hijacking, because pilots, they weren't asked to be interviewed. They were rejected. Certain pilots wanted to be interviewed. Just when it comes to Congress in an investigation for what took place in 9/11 via the 9/11 Commission report, Zelikow didn't want to interview none of the pilots. And there's a reason behind that, because most of the pilots were suspicious about what really took place on 9/11, especially regarding the hijackers. So this right here is just an article, or, you know, excerpt of it, if you will, just going into the 9/11 whistleblowers, the pilots. I am Captain Dan Haley, an American citizen who has resided in Islamabad, Pakistan for over 12 years. I currently serve as the director and international public spokesperson of a global grassroots effort called 9/11 Pilot Whistleblower, whose purpose is to show that there were no Muslim hijackers at the controls of the 9/11 aircraft, but that they were electronically hijacked through employment of a system called the uninterruptible autopilot that enables a remote source to take complete control of the aircraft, autopilot, and flight management computer and guide it to its target destination. And that's what I believe took place with those planes on 9/11. Once engaged, the pilots cannot disconnect the system. So, you know, you're pretty much hijacked by the system. You're hijacked by the computer. Our ultimate goal is to recruit experienced civilian, military, and airline pilots alike, both active and retired, from around the world, who would be willing to examine the available evidence and testify on camera to the difficulty of the maneuvers supposedly executed by the Muslim hijackers on 9/11, such that even a highly trained pilot testifying could not have flown the given profiles on that fateful day. We are also looking for experienced pilots' input in identifying the skills and aptitudes which pilots must master, distinguishing them from persons who lack such training. An example of this is given by the purported profile flown by alleged Muslim hijacker Hani Hanjour, who supposedly piloted American Airlines Flight 77 that tragically struck the Pentagon on 9/11. The aircraft was reported to have conducted a descending and accelerating 330 degrees, mind you, 33, corkscrew turn from 7,000 feet west of the Pentagon to arrive precisely at ground level without striking the surface to hit the Office of Naval Intelligence at nearly 500 miles per hour with military precision on his first attempt. And there was a report that the plane didn't even hit the building. That was a news segment that they didn't really want people to see. Like, that was a news segment that's hard to like really find, but it's on YouTube, where, you know, it was reported that the Pentagon didn't even get hit. It was like on the side of the Pentagon or something like that. This maneuver was replicated in a flight simulator. Highly experienced pilots cannot perform this maneuver on successive attempts without crashing, and yet, according to official narrative, Hani Hanjour accomplished this amazing aerial feat on the first attempt with minimal aircraft experience training and light Cessna aircraft having only a few hundred hours of total flight time. Yeah, that's how you know that that person most likely wasn't flying that plane. That person most likely was just used to be the fall guy, just like, you know, the rest of the Muslims as hijackers, even though it most likely was a system that hijacked the planes, you know, because these people work in tandem. Just when it comes to who they want to blame behind closed doors, they actually laughing with these people, shoulder to shoulder. Right. Now, where were we? In August 2020, a whistleblower report was filed via the Federal Aviation Administration hotline alleging that there were no Muslim hijackers at the controls of the 9/11 aircraft, but that the aircraft were electronically hijacked and remotely controlled to their target destinations. A wealth of supporting evidence was provided to back our allegations over the course of the next several months. Numerous emails and letters were sent to various relevant government offices with barely any response to all save a few emails from the FAA hotline office. Yeah, because they understand that that's heavy truth there. That's heavy truth. We were being led to believe that an intensive and exhaustive investigation was underway when in reality, this was not the case, as was proven by a Freedom of Information Act request for all records pertaining to the investigation, which only yielded a single memorandum. Ain't that something? Ain't that something? This is how you know that these revelations that come out, it overpowers. It's too strong. But at the end of the day, man, truth is always gonna be here. You know, it was a quote about truth where it says that the truth is like a lion. You know, you don't have to defend it. When it lets loose, it defends itself. And that's a fact, man.
Development from the pilotless aircraft principle. This was the Weary Willie. The tempo of our air assault on Europe left us with a number of heavy bombers no longer suitable for combat. Every inch of armament and crew space was replaced with TNT. Guidance was by radio from an accompanying aircraft. This represented 10 tons of TNT, 10 times more explosive power than during our tests with assault drones. But now, a large airplane could be remotely controlled. The aircraft was taken off in a normal manner by a pilot. After reaching altitude, control was transferred to the mother plane, and the pilot in the Weary Willie bailed out. Here, in this actual photography of one of the 19 missions from an English airbase, you see the bomber responding to the simple control. Some of these missions were dispatched against German installations in France, but they had only a slight degree of success. Intense anti-aircraft gunfire made accompanying planes vulnerable, and better controls were necessary to attain the goal of an effective guided missile.